everybody. Welcome to this month's Lessons with Lauren, Lunchtime Lessons with Lauren. I'm Lauren Barlow, the owner and career coach with Lauren Barlow Career Coaching. And today our lesson is going to be about how to pilot your pivot. So there might be a lot of you out there that are currently seeking positions that might be either a complete career change or just a tiny pivot from what you are currently doing. And so today we're going to talk about a couple of tips and strategies that can help you to successfully pilot this pivot. So I am going to share my screen now. Sorry for the delay. Here we go. So this lunchtime lesson, I actually didn't come up with myself. So some of my audience members who were tuning in a couple weeks ago, I asked for ideas about topics for lunchtime lessons with Lauren. So this week's topic was actually submitted by a viewer, and so was last week's topic about interviewing. So if you have topics that you're interested in hearing, just a quick little lesson or a quick little speech about, please feel free to add that to the comments, and I'll do my best to speak on whatever topic is career related that I also have experience in. So again, I'm Lauren Barlow, and I established Lauren Barlow Career Coaching in 2018 with the goal of collaborating with motivated professionals that are trying to make a change in their career, but they're unsure of how to take their next step. So I help professionals by providing job searching, networking, interviewing, and resume coaching to help them kind of decide what that next step looks like and then how to take it. So, when you're piloting your pivot, which is today's topic, you really want to be a sponge. So, you are somebody that is entering into a new world that you don't have a ton of experience in. So, you should be a sponge and you should be trying to soak in and take in as much information as you can. So, when you are in this kind of sponge like mentality, you want to find out, what are employers looking for in my new space? What special skills, knowledge, qualifications, abilities are needed in this role that I'm targeting? What is trending in my new industry? What is in the news about my new industry? What are some key factors I need to make sure that I'm aware of globally in this next step that I'm trying to take? How do people typically get their foot in the door when they're entering into this field? What will this industry look like 5, 10, 15 years from now? How do I know how I fit in this new space, or how do I fit in this new space, and what am I bringing to the table? So, a lot of times when we're making a pivot, you are somebody that's unique in your space, in your new field, because you're bringing with you experience from a previous industry that those that have been in your new industry don't necessarily have because they've just been in that same industry for so long. So you might be have more value than you actually think in this situation because you can bring a different perspective. So being a sponge and learning is as easy as one, two, three. So here are three things that you can do to help yourself kind of learn a little bit more about your pivot. Well, I guess I should say three, two, one. So each week, you should set a goal to three. Consume at least three pieces of media about your new career. So this could be YouTube videos, it could be articles on LinkedIn, it could be information that's in the news, stuff that's posted by trade journals or professional associations in your new industry. But you should set a goal to consume at least three pieces of information or three pieces of media per week about your new industry. So, two, I would comment, like, or reshare at least two articles, comments, posts on LinkedIn each week. So, make sure that when you go on to LinkedIn, you're starting to follow thought leaders in your new industry. You're starting to follow companies that are kind of your target companies in your new industry or in your new pivot, and really engage with the content that's being put out there by people in your next step, by commenting, liking, or resharing. And I task you or I challenge you to do that twice a week. And then one, try and talk to at least one person each week in your new field. and you're not asking this person for a job or an internship. You're just asking them if you can have, 30 minutes of their time to learn more about their industry and their work, and their perspective on the work that they do, and their ideas about the industry that they're in. So why is this helpful? So why is it helpful to consume information and learn more and to talk to people? One, it's going to inform your application. So by learning more about certain companies, learning more about the new industry, talking to people that are in that industry, it's going to help you learn a little more about what skills, knowledge, and abilities are valued. And this can help you when you're writing your resume, cover letter. It can even help you overhaul your LinkedIn profile to kind of position yourself towards your pivot. It's going to increase your knowledge just by consuming media. You're going to be able to learn a little bit about your new industry, and knowledge is power. That's always very helpful. By talking to people and by doing this research, you might even learn about jobs in your new area that you weren't even considering before because you simply just didn't know they exist because you're trying to learn about something new. This is going to help you to grow your network. So again, when you're researching, when you're being a sponge, you're not asking anybody for a job. You're just asking them for the knowledge that's already in their brain. And people are going to be flattered by the fact that you think they know enough to have a conversation with you. And this is really going to help to grow your network, which is going to just inevitably or innately set the groundwork for the job search that you will be conducting soon. Um, So when you're piloting your pivot, there's two things. So you want to be a sponge. You also want to do some self-reflection and more research yourself to figure out how the puzzle pieces fit together. So you want to be able to connect how your previous work will benefit the work that you're going to do in your next step in your pivot. You want to see where the similarities are. You want to learn about new language in your new industry, and you want to be able to bridge that gap or fit the puzzle pieces together for your future employer to help them learn about your value. Looking at job descriptions in your new space can be really, really helpful because they'll let you know exactly what employers are looking for, what skills they're going to need in order to hire a successful employee. And this is going to help you to kind of reflect, and assess the work experience that you've had leading up to this point. So when you're looking at a job description and you kind of have a target, you can look at your work experience and think, okay, maybe I didn't do this exact thing, but I did something really similar. And let me start to develop some language around how I'm going to explain that to somebody in this new space. I would have some stories prepared. This can be helpful to help you prepare for these networking conversations, for writing your resume and in an interview, to help you explain your value to your future employer. Also, asking others for help can be really helpful as well. And that's why the networking piece is so important. In those networking conversations, you want to share with somebody. I used to be a finance advisor, and now I'm trying to be an astronaut. Um, how what skills are needed as an astronaut, and how do you see any connections between somebody who's a finance advisor and an astronaut? That's just an example. So these are kind of this is a more concrete example. So if somebody's interested in, and I just made all of this up, if somebody's interested in going from a teacher to a project manager, um, like what could that look like? How could some of those stories sound, and how could you help to fit the puzzle pieces together or bridge the gap for somebody who is trying to hire a project manager? So over on the left, I have three bullet points from a random project manager job description, and over on the right are some talking points for a teacher to use to maybe help somebody again bridge the gap between the experience that they have and the outcomes and the work that they need to do in the future. So the project manager job description reads: determine and define project scope and objectives. A teacher probably has experience doing this. They determine and define learning goals and objectives for their students, and they assess these goals and make sure that they're working through these goals by assigning weekly tasks and tracking the students' progress towards these weekly objectives or monthly objectives. predict resources needed to research objectives, and manage resources in an effective and efficient manner. So a teacher might have experience, predicting resources that a student with an IEP needs to reach their learning objectives based on the classroom performance, and then they can efficiently manage the resources and advocate for the student among different stakeholders. So you are still doing that thing where you're predicting needs and you are managing those needs or resources based on a specific target. So the same thing is happening in both spaces. You just need to make sure that you are explaining that to the project manager, hiring manager. So develop and manage detailed project and schedule work plan. So that sounds to me a lot like managing a detailed curriculum and making sure that you schedule weekly lessons and track student progress to make sure that they are staying on track to obtaining those learning goals that are set by the curriculum each year. Here's another one. Maybe somebody might be a nurse and they're trying to pivot to an account executive. So, same thing, account executive job description on the left, nurse on the right. So, the account executive job description is initiate actions which maximize revenue, retain or grow client relationships, and effectively position products at a rate or level with emphasis on expanding the assigned book of business. So for a nurse, there's a lot of relationship management in nursing. So you could explain how, as a nurse, you have experience growing relationships with patients and families and um, listening to concerns, making patients comfortable, learning about their goals, and then being able to effectively position the doctor's recommendations that align with the client's motivations. So nurses have a lot of experience kind of persuading and getting people to do things that maybe they don't want to do, and they're probably able to achieve the end result, which is following the doctor's orders by making the patient feel comfortable and finding some common ground. That sounds very similar to pitching and selling a product. Provide guidance and support and strategic leadership among service teams for the book of business. Maybe, as a nurse, you might have some strategic leadership opportunities, or you've been a part of, streamlining a process, making something more efficient. So the example here is just providing guidance, support, and strategic leadership to nurses on the floor during the COVID-19 pandemic by updating safety protocols and strategically designing schedules. So again, these statements kind of sound like resume statements. I didn't know another way to do it. So they could pop up on a resume, but they could also pop up during an interview where you would want to use the STAR strategy, which we talked about last week, to highlight your achievements in within the space that your pivot is going towards. This is not an easy process. Making a career change is probably one of the most difficult things that you'll do as a professional. So if you're interested in scheduling a consultation and having a conversation with me just to have somebody guide you through this process and maybe make the process a little more efficient for you, I would love to talk and hopefully work together. So just feel free to scan that QR code, or you can visit my website, laurenbarlowcareercoaching.com, to schedule there as well. All right. That is our lesson for today. I'm looking in the comments to see if anyone has any questions, and I don't see any now. If you're watching this video after the fact, if you're watching the recorded video and you have a question or a comment or an idea for another topic, please throw it into the comments box, and I will reach out to you and maybe brainstorm a little bit. But I definitely love it when I receive ideas for topics, just because I think it helps to inform these talks, and I know it's helpful to at least somebody. All right. Enjoy the rest of your Thursday, and thank you for tuning in. Bye.